to know why I'm excited about November? Because it's mission season, and so I'm a huge believer. You'll find out here in the next little bit where we are headed to on our mission trip next summer. Some of you have already been asking. You will find out soon. I promise. It's a part of what we're doing, so just woosah, relax, okay? So we're in a series called Outside These Walls. Do me a favor. I need you to forget that the person on your left and on your right exists, unless I say look at your neighbor and tell them this. That's the only time that you can talk to them as well. But Mark chapter 10 is where I'm going to read from in just a moment. But so this series, Outside These Walls, really the thought and the prayer and the concept of it is we believe what God is doing in here. We believe what God is doing in your heart and God is doing in your life is not meant to stay in here. Agree? One of those. The reason why we're doing this series is a healthy reminder that what God is doing inside here, inside your life, is not meant to be kept in here. Thank you. Gosh, have mercy. We believe what God does here and what God does in your heart and in your life, and as He fills you, it is meant to be brought to the hurting and to the broken. We always say this, and one of the things that we believe, God did not call the lost and the broken to the church. He called the church to the lost and to the broken. Okay, so that's our responsibility as a youth ministry. That's our responsibility as a church. And so we believe what God is doing, we are going to take outside these walls because there are a lot more people who are not saved, who are dying and going to hell than there are in the church today. Even in our city, Lakeland, it's like a mecca of churches, okay? There are more lost people than there are saved people. And so we are still losing, and so it is still our responsibility as the church to make sure we win as many people back for Jesus. And so if you believe that, say amen. Mark chapter 10, actually let me say this. There's three things that we're going to pull out, and you're going to hear myself and Pastor Adam talk about it as we talk about this series. There's three things that we want you to pull together. There's three things we believe that we can do, every single one of us, and three things in our life that will help make this month, make this year, make your life the best possible thing it can be. And that's three things we want you to sacrifice. Number one is time. Everyone say time. Number two is prayer. Everyone say prayer. Number three is resources. Everyone say resources. And let me say this real quick before anything. Garbo, can you throw that 21 days up there real quick? I need you to pull out your phones. Pull out your phones. Everyone pull out your phone. Cellular device. Your mobile device. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to text devotional to that number right now. Right now. Pull your phone out. Pull your phone out. We have written a devotional. Pastor Adam has worked really hard on it along with some leaders. We have handwritten these devotionals for you. So this isn't like some whack like YouVersion thing. Not that it's whack. I'm saying somebody else's YouVersion thing. We have written this, designed specifically for this message series. And so we're thankful to our leadership team and Pastor Adam for doing all of that. Sorry, it's 863, not 869. Sorry. That's on me. I'll own it. 863. Sorry, please forgive me. Someone is getting a lot of devotional texts right now in the area code of 869. They're going to be like, fine, I'll do my devotions. 863-417-5969. And when we edit this message, we'll start the message right now. You doing that? You text devotion to that? We're going to send it to you this evening, and it's going to help you over the next 21 days really dive into what we believe God is saying to our ministry. So make sure you do that. Mark chapter 10 is where we're going to read from this evening. Mark chapter 10, starting in verse 17. It's up there. Hope you brought your magnifying glass, but it is up there. It says this: as he went out into the street, a man came running up, we're talking about Jesus. As he went out into the street, a man came running up, greeted him with great reverence, and asked, "Good teacher, what must I do to get eternal life?" Jesus said, "Why are you calling me good? No one is good, only God. You know the commandments: don't murder, don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat, honor your father and your mother." Can someone say amen? Is that sometimes easier said than done? But I believe you can do it. Verse 20, he said, "Teacher, I have from my youth kept them all." Jesus looked at him hard in the eye and loved him, and he said, "There is one thing left." How many of you know sometimes Jesus has to look at you spiritually in the face and say, "I love you, but this." Anybody ever tell you this? They'll be like, "Mark, I love you, but you're an idiot." You know, there's those moments. And so I feel like sometimes everyone can say whatever they want if they precede it with, "I love you. I just need to tell you this because I love you." Jesus Jesus looked him hard in the eye and said, loved him. He said, there's one thing left. Go sell whatever you own and give it to the poor. All your wealth will then be heavenly wealth, and come follow me. The man's face clouded over, and this was the last thing that he expected to hear, and he walked off with a heavy heart. He was holding tight to a lot of things and not about to let them go. Looking at his disciples, Jesus said, do you have any idea how difficult it is for people who have it all to enter God's kingdom? The disciples couldn't believe what they were hearing, but Jesus kept on. You can't imagine how difficult. I'd say it's easier for a camel to go through a needle's eye than for the rich to get into God's kingdom. Camel, needle. Camel, that's what Jesus is saying. Sometimes when we view wealth more important than anything else. So I told you there are three things in this series that we are going to focus on. That is your time, that is your prayer life, and number three, that is your resource. And so we're gonna tie those into every single message as we look across the series, as we dive in and read God's word. But there's one thing I want to talk about tonight, and that's this. It's one of the worst words in all of the Bible. Not Bible, probably. It's one of the worst words ever in the history of mankind. Because it is something that we all struggle with. It is something that we all have a difficult time with, and that's this. It's just simply making excuses. Everyone say excuses. You ever met somebody who always makes excuses for why they can't do something? Why they can't go to lunch with you, why they can't hang out with you, why they can't come to church, why they can't play Fortnite, why they can't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some of you are like, yeah, I know. I keep asking this girl, and she keeps making excuses of why she won't go out with me. Just give it a rest, bro. Just let it go. That's called the friend zone. There's a friend zone, and there's like a relationship zone. Then there's like the friend of a friend zone. If you're in the friend of a friend zone, there's no chance in God's green earth that you have any chance at all. But it's hard for me sometimes when people make excuses of why they can't do something. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. There's some of us that's probably the reason a lot of us are so timid about our faith. A lot of times that's probably the reason why we've never shared our faith and what we believe with other people, because we're so good at making excuses of the reasons why we can't or don't have time to or shouldn't, or they don't want to listen. Have you ever heard somebody make excuses for other people? Like, it's really you, but you're making excuses for those people because that's why they don't want to listen to me. It's because their grandma's dog has a toothache, and so they don't want to hear my problems, or they don't want to hear about my life, or they don't want to hear about Jesus because they're so consumed with their grandma's dog's toothache. I don't know how we got there. But there's two things I want to pull out of this verse tonight. That's how we're going to get back into the Word of God. There's two things I want to pull out of this verse tonight, and that's simply this. Number one, if you're taking notes, write this down. Sometimes nothing equals everything. Nothing equals everything. Verse 21, it says, Jesus looked him hard in the eye and loved him. And he said, there's one thing left. Go sell whatever you own and give it to the poor. All your wealth will then be heavenly wealth, and come follow me. Can I tell you this? Earthly possessions mean nothing when you die. Agree or disagree? Like, you can't take anything with you. You're like, yeah, but there's cell phones in heaven. I need to have an iPhone 10 in case the rapture comes. So that's the phone I'm going to have for all of eternity. No, that's not how it works. Earthly possessions mean nothing when we relate it to Jesus, when we relate it to heaven. This man, this was another term they used for this man in the Bible, was the rich young ruler. So he has some cash. He was one of the richest men in all the land. He had everything that he could possibly want. Can I ask this question? Why, as a society, are we so consumed with what you want rather than what others need? That's my thought tonight. That's what this whole thing is based off of. That's kind of what this whole series is based off of. Why? And think about this. I have to ask myself this question. Why am I so consumed with what I want rather than what other people need? Why are our wants more important than other people's needs? I gotta have the newest shoes. How many of you, you're a sneakerhead, like you love shoes, that's your thing. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying, you're like, I don't want to raise my hand because whatever, but I have these new Yeezys on right now and it's okay. Like, how many of you are like, you get the newest iPhone when it comes out? That's your thing. How many of you, you have to have, I don't know, what do y'all like? Food. I have to have the best food ever. I've known a lot of people how many of you like shoes? Like, shoes is your thing? It's okay. It's okay. Like, I really like shoes. I have way nicer shoes if I could afford more shoes. That's just the reality. I'm wearing shoes right now that are like 6 years old, okay? Don't judge me. But there are 3 pairs of shoes that in 2018 are the most expensive shoes that have come out this year. And I'm not talking about like rare shoes that were made, okay? Not like those $25,000 whatever. But number 3 are these shoes on the screen. Go ahead, take a look at these shoes on the screen. No, that's number 2. Sorry, that's number 2. Don't ruin it, don't ruin it, don't ruin it. Those. That looks like you went to Kmart and bought what was on the clearance rack. The Balenciaga. That'll show you how much I know. If you wonder what they are reselling for right now, is over $1,200. Crocs look way better than those shoes. Like, Crocs are cool. Said no one ever, okay? That's number 3. Number two is this, the Y3 runners. Those are number 2, and those are reselling for over $1,400. How many of you are like, I would wear those? I would wear those. I would wear those. That's the number 2. That's the second most expensive shoe that has come out in 2018. And here's number 1. This is the most expensive shoe that has come out in 2018. How many of you are like, okay, I want those. I want those right there. Those are the most expensive shoes that have come out this year. Why? And those resell for over $1,600. That's probably like the cheapest that you can get them for resale. And so I've figured something out. Shoes, you get them early, you can get those for $190. If you're like the first 3 people to ever get it online when they come out. But I've realized that you can resell something for a whole lot more than what you paid for it. So that's my new job. I'm going to start buying shoes, and then I'm going to resell them for all these suckers who will spend over $1,000 and $1,500 on a pair of shoes. And so those are the 3 most expensive shoes that have come out in 2018. And as I did a little bit of math and just a rough estimation of those shoes, all 3 of them together, if you were to put, it's over $4,000. $4,000 on 3 pairs of shoes. That is a car. Not a great car, but that is a car. $4,000. Let's put that into perspective. Are you ready? Say, I'm ready. Essentially, missionaries teach when they come and they share, and they've done tests and research and Barna and all this stuff, that they say every single dollar that you give represents a soul who comes to know Jesus Christ. So essentially, I'm saying a lot of you, your entire high school and more could come to know Jesus with what we're spending on materialistic things today. So when you put into perspective the money that we spend on things that we want, rather than the money we should give to people so that their needs can be met, we're missing the mark as a society. We're missing the mark as a church. We're missing the mark as a city, as a nation, as a whole, because we're so consumed with me. And my heart and my prayer is that you would no longer look at yourself, but you would look at people and begin to see people the way in which Jesus sees people. Our world needs Jesus. Our world needs what is happening inside these walls to be taken outside of these walls. And here's the very real reality. Because you are inside these walls, I truly believe you have the mandate from God to take what God is speaking to you and take it to those people who have yet to hear. That's on every single one of us. We have to answer to God for all the times we chose to focus on ourselves rather than on other people. We have to do that. Our want for things cannot be greater than people's need for Jesus. The lost need your time, the lost need your prayers, and the lost need your resources. Number 2, you just need to let go. Everyone say let go. Number 22, the man's face clouded over. This was the last thing he expected to hear. And he walked off with a heavy heart. He was holding tight to a lot of things and not about to let them go. Can I ask you this? What are some things in your life that you need to let go of in order for Jesus to begin to use you to operate in the best of your ability? What are some things you need to personally let go of in your life? And for every single one of us, it's different. But I guarantee about 98.5% of us, it would probably be time on our cellular device. What are some things we need to let go of? What are some things we need to put down in order for Jesus to begin to operate in us and through us the way that he has called us to? What are some things that maybe it's certain friendships or relationships or things that are getting your time more than Jesus is getting your time? And I'm not saying you can't have friends. Of course have friends. But I'm saying if your friends are more important than your friendship with Jesus Christ, you're missing it. Your time and your prayer, it takes time to have a relationship with somebody. It takes time to invest in certain things. What time are you spending investing into your relationship with Jesus Christ? That's why we're trying to do it make it as easy as possible. You're going, I don't know what to do. We've written a 21-day devotional for you. We're going to do it together. Even on Mondays, you're not going to have to read. We're going to do it on video, so it even helps. On Sundays, it's a catch-up day. So we're just at 5 days out of the week. 5 days. I think God has earned time with us. Okay? We have to make room. We have to make time for Jesus. What are some things that you need to let go of for you to be who God has called you to be? My daughter and I and my wife and my son, I could have just said my family. Long version. But not my dog. My dog is part of my family. My dog didn't come. We went to Disney the other day, and it was fun. It was hot. Thanks, Florida. And my daughter got to ride Mine Train for the very first time. Anybody ever ridden that ride before? It's like crazy awesome, but it's crazy quick. And my daughter, she's kind of just tall enough now, and we were on a previous ride like a couple weeks ago, and they gave us, because it broke, and they gave us this pass that essentially was like, you can ride any ride that you want, no wait time. Except Slinky Dog, jerks. And so we had this slip, and so I take it to the lady, and she's like, okay. And she's like, but it says 3. And I was like, yeah, my wife, and she's like, oh, your daughter can ride it twice. I'll give you a baby swap. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's why you're way better than every other theme park, because you're Disney World. And so me and my daughter were getting in line for Mine Train, and she's so excited, and she's elated. And if you don't know what Mine Train is, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, hi-ho, hi. Okay, that whole thing, and roller coaster, and it rocks, and boom, it's smooth, it's awesome, it's great. And so we get going this whole thing, and she's excited, and she's like, Daddy, the whole thing. And she's like, hold me, and excited, okay? So she does. We get to the thing, and we sit in the seat. There, big guys, kind of tight, okay? And she's like this. I look over, and she's like this. Like holding on for dear life. We haven't even moved yet. So Reagan, you're going to be okay. And she's like, I'm scared and I'm excited. I was like, okay, it's usually how it goes. Somebody's like, I know. I was going to ask a girl the other day, and I was scared and I was excited, so I didn't do it. So my daughter's on this ride, and she's just holding on for dear life, and I'm like, Reagan, it's okay. So we go down this whoosh thing, and then you finally get to this, that part. And I'm going, Reagan, when we go down, I need you to put your hands in the air. She's like, no. I'm like, yeah, just trust me. Just trust me. She's like, no. And I was like, please, 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 I'll give you ice cream. Not good parenting. But I wanted my daughter to have the full experience, okay? So I was trying to, whatever, Disney, they can have whatever they want. So we get up there, I'm like, put your hands up, and I do it, and I look over, and she's like this. Like, Reagan, you didn't do it, because you get to this point where it's like a little break for a second. She's like, I'm so scared. I go, Reagan, please just do it. Please just do it. Please just do it. So we go again, and I look over, and her hands are in the air, and her face is like. And then we get to this thing, and it's like, and you're like, people wait 2.5 hours for this 44 seconds of fun. Like, I would never do that. And I look at Reagan, she's like, Daddy, it was so much fun when I put my hands up. I was like, I know. Imagine if you'd have done it the whole time. And can I just tell you, there are some things in your life you're just holding on to. You're holding tight to, and you're too scared to let them go. And God's just saying, hey, can you just put your hands in the air and trust that what I have designed, what I have built for you is going to sustain you? Just let go. Just let go and enjoy the ride of life. Just let go and stop worrying, stop fearing, stop holding on to a relationship you don't need to hold on to. Stop holding on to friendships you don't need to hold on to. Stop holding on to this or that. Whatever that is for you, fill in the blank. God's saying, just let go of it. Because the reality is, if we're just holding on to something, we can never receive what God has for us. Let go. And let God begin to move in your life. Why don't we let go of things? Why do we hold on to things? What has God been placing on your heart that you need to let go of? Man, I remember sitting in youth group forever, knowing what I needed to do, but too scared to do it. Knowing that I didn't need to be in a relationship or in a friendship or whatever. But I knew I needed to let go of it, but I was too scared to. What is that thing for you tonight? It says in verse 22, this was the last thing that this rich young ruler expected to hear, and he walked off with a heavy heart. Jesus was saying, let go of those things and just follow me. I'm telling you, what I have for you is so much better than what you have for yourself. And can I tell you, that's what God's saying to you tonight. What I have for you, what I have for your life is so much better than what you have for yourself. Just believe it. Just start living it. Don't just think it. Think it, know it, and live it. Like thinking things and knowing something is totally different. God's saying, just let go of some things and watch me begin to work and move in your life. Jesus wasn't saying that it was this man's money that was keeping him from a relationship with him. It's not bad to have money. The love of money is bad, but money's not bad. We've made it bad. Just like a lot of things in the world. What God designed wasn't bad. The way in which things were set up wasn't bad. We've made them bad. Let me just tell you this. It wasn't the money that was the bad thing. It wasn't the money that kept this ruler from a relationship with God. It was that the money was his comfort zone. The money is what was so comfortable for him that he was not willing to let go of what was comfortable because he had a fear of what God had for him. Can I tell you, there's some things in your life tonight you personally need to let go of. Let go of whatever makes you feel so comfortable that you're not willing to step out and do big things for Jesus Christ. Money wasn't bad. It was his willingness to not step out of his comfort zone. What is your comfort zone tonight? Some of you are like, I don't have any lost friends. That's a comfort zone. How about you and your friends invite some lost people into your circle and begin to love on them, and begin to care about them, and begin to serve them? My biggest pet peeve is sometimes when people are like, hey, I don't know you come to church. Hey, I don't know you come to church. Hey, I don't know you come to church. How about, hey, I'm Mark. What's your name? Sarah, nice to meet you. How's life? What's new? How's your family? Okay, so there's friendship and a relationship being formed. The problem is, we don't want to have a relationship with anybody else until it's like, come to church with me. Can I tell you, Jesus did life with sinners before a lot of sinners knew that he was Jesus Christ. But what example are we setting as Christians when it's like, hey, come to church, because if I bring 20 people, I get to free this. Come to church. How about, how are you? How's life? How can I pray for you today? What do you need in your life right now? What's one thing that's weighing you down? Build relationship with people. I could tell you this because I know most of you in this room, You can't stand fakeness. You want what's real. Your generation wants what is real. So be real to other people. Have a real relationship with God, not a fake relationship with God. Don't try to be one person in here and then another person out there, another person over there. That's not how God designed you to live, because the problem is then you forget how you're supposed to live around which group of people. God says, be the same person inside these walls, outside these walls. Live for me in here, live for me out there. You pray to me in here, pray to me out there. You spend time with me in here, spend time with me out there. You give your resource in here, give your resource out there. Don't let your comfort zone keep you from God's obedience. Don't let your comfort zone keep you from being obedient to God, because that's my fear. That we're so locked into what's comfortable that sometimes it makes us be disobedient to what God's calling us to do. Your time, it's a big thing. Why do we make time one of our big three? It's because of this. We believe that there are different ministries that are taking place in our community right now, from Visti to the Dream Center to homeless outreach and different stuff like that. And God's lining some things up. That God is asking us to spend more of our time helping other people rather than trying to help ourselves. So next week you're going to hear about different ministry opportunities that are going to be coming in these next few weeks for you to volunteer your time reaching lost people. It's a very practical way. Number 2, your prayer. That's why we created a devotional life, a devotional time, devotional plan for your life. Because we believe the greatest thing that you can do is have a healthy relationship with God. As pastors, that's our number one prayer and wish for you, is that you would have a personal, daily relationship with Jesus Christ. Not just a relationship on a Wednesday night. That's just a relationship with your youth group. I want you to have a relationship with God. And number 3 is resource. I know as we get into this season of missions, we always do some crazy thing. Last year we did, battle of the small groups and whatever, and the seniors won. But as me and Pastor Adam were talking, I said, I just want to do something that is so practical. That is just so, it's there. And this is kind of where we believe God wanted us to land. And that's this. Listen to me, everybody in this room. For the next 5 weeks, everyone say 5. For the next 5 weeks, this is our prayer, that you would be willing to give $10 a week. It's $50 total. Pastor Mark, I'm broke. It's okay. Maybe it's going to cause you to sacrifice your time and work, maybe mow some lawns,